Alright guys, we are going to try something new today that I have never tried before. We are going to hunt for wild clay. So to get ready for this adventure, I am packing up my adventure backpack with a couple of garden trowels for digging and a couple of gallon Ziploc bags so I have something to put my clay into. I think that's all we need, maybe a water bottle for the hike, and we're going on an adventure. We are out at Smithville Lake. When you are hunting for wild clay, being near a river or a lake is a good place to look. Clay is made by water grinding down rocks over eons. So any place where there's been water in the past will have a good deposit of clay. That could be your backyard. All of this was underwater a long time ago. Today we're gonna look by the lake. This clay is nice and good. One of the good signs of good clay is red dirt, but you can see when I squeeze it, it's sticking together. Now, the true test is if this is going to be good is we're going to roll a coil, and if we can curl it around our finger without it cracking, it's good. This is going to be a little bit too stiff. We can fix this up by mixing in other kinds of clays with it, but I might collect some of this clay anyway. This stuff is super sticky, and you can definitely tell there's clay in there, but there's a bunch of rocks. We can get those rocks out by sieving it through a mesh screen, but there's so many rocks, at least on this surface, that I don't know if it's worthwhile. Yeah, I can't even get a good coil. So, yeah, we're getting cracks. I might take a little bit of this again to mix with other clays. Let's scrape away the top, because it's definitely got leaves and things. Kind of get some of that deeper stuff. Ooh, check that out. That's gonna be really good. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice and plastic. This is some good stuff down here.
Is that like a new layer?
Yeah, this is a new layer. This is even better. In fact, I think I might dump some of this top layer so we can get more of this lower layer. Here we find some nice deep red. We're gonna get some of this. This stuff's really nice and sticky. We don't need the leaves. So let's give this the finger test. So we're gonna roll it into a coil and we're gonna wrap it around our finger. Oh dude, it passes the test! All right, now that we're back from our adventure, it is time to process our clay. It has to be dry. That's step number one, is letting it dry out. So I'm going to take our clay and I am just going to dump it out into some pans and bowls and let it sit. Alright, so we have let our clay dry out. I actually got sick of leaving it outside and put mine in the oven. If you have an electric oven, you could also bake it at about 190 degrees for a couple hours and achieve the same thing. Don't go over 200. So I've got a bucket and I filled the bucket up with water, but I want to keep them separate. So I've got a bucket for each. And now I am just going to take my completely dried chunks of clay and I'm just going to drop them in the bucket. The trick to this is don't get in there and start stirring. We want them to slake down. We want them to just kind of slowly turn into mud. Alright, so we've let our clay sit overnight in the buckets. They have slaked down really well. So now the fun part is we're going to run them through a sieve and make sure we can get out all of the rocks and sticks and things that are going to cause problems. So this is one of the things that's going to be a little bit more challenging for you to find at home. The ideal thing is a regular old window screen. This is a window screen that's attached to a wooden frame that I use for paper making, but your normal old window screen mesh is going to be good. If you don't have an old window screen sitting around, you can try using a kitchen sieve or even give your sandbox tools a try. It's better than nothing. So think about what you have that has holes in it. A colander even might work. Stirring this up, making sure there's no big lumps anymore. It's nice and modified. There's nothing left. It's completely dissolved. Let's see what happens. Alright, we have sieved out all the rocks and sticks and junk. Now we are going to let these bowls of slip sit here until the water settles to the top and the grit settles to the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to use the car wash sponge and just kind of set it on the top, there we go, and let it absorb up the water on the top and then squeeze it away. I'm trying to not disturb the clay layer underneath. I just want to get rid of the top water layer. Our next step is to get the clay someplace where it can dry out. I'm going to try a couple different ways and see what happens. We're just going to spread it out over some fabric. I've got some old sheets and I'm going to lay them over a wooden frame like so. And make a couple layers here. You can tell I've used these for other projects before. Smooth it out nice and flat so there aren't any bumpy places and it's all spread out and will dry evenly like so. Alright, if you haven't noticed yet, I'm something of a hoarder and I finally think I may have found a use for these silly little bags that they put new sheet sets into. So I've been saving these for I don't know how long. One of the techniques is to pour the clay into a pillowcase and then hang it up and let the water drip out of the pillowcase. Come on, please don't touch it. Alright, so for our final one, if you don't have wood at home, we're just going to try just spreading it on a sheet that's been weighed down at the corners. Any kind of thick cloth will work, a thick dish towel, an old t-shirt might even work, maybe a couple of old t-shirts. Alright, it's been a couple of hours, we've let it sit out in the sun, and now it is stiff enough that we can start moving it. So it's in kind of an arch. Now clearly, if we've got any dry bits, we're going to kind of swoosh them into the middle. So it's time to wedge it. Just about mixing and blending the clay to get it smooth and mixed and get air holes out of it. Alright, so we have got our 3 different samples that we collected at the lake, and now we are going to start testing them. We're going to be all scientific about this. This is going to be lump A, B, C, and we are also going to grab a little bit of our classroom clay. We're going to call this D. Mix some samples together because all these clays have different properties, and some of those properties are going to work better together. Like this guy is really sandy, but that sand might help this guy who's really sticky. I've got everything sorted, I've got everything labeled, and now we're going to throw some pots out of all of our different combinations. Alright, I am really happy with how that came out. I got some really good bowls thrown. My least favorite was B. I thought it was really lumpy and hard to work with and wanted to not stay together well. My favorite on its own was C, and my favorite mix was the A and the C mixed together. I'm really happy with how this project came out. I have trimmed simple feet on the bottoms of my pots. They are surviving drying really well. I'm excited about seeing how these fire up. Next week I'm going to make another video about pit firing. We're gonna put these in the charcoal grill and see what happens. But in the meantime, go out, try finding some wild clay. You can make something really simple with them, like pinch pots or beads or things like that. And I can't wait to see what you find and what you make.